And Biden's campaign co-chair also coming to Vice President Kamala Harris's defense. Senator Coons arguing she's ready to step into President Biden's shoes as commander-in-chief if needed. Listen here.
The vice president, like many vice presidents, has struggled to get positive press coverage and to get the credit she deserves for the hard work that she's been doing. The vice president's ready to run and ready to be president should that ever happen. I know our president has great confidence in her, and so do I.
Brandi Kruse is the host of Undivided podcast and joins us now. Brandi, you heard Senator Coons just say right there that VP Harris deserves more credit. So what do you think? Is America not giving her a fair shot? Because when you look at the recent Fox News poll, it shows 57% disapprove of the job she's doing. Your takeaway?
Well, I love that he says, oh, she's ready to run for president or to be president. I hope so. She's the vice president. She's one heartbeat away from being the president. So I would hope that anybody in the vice presidential position would be ready to run for or be the president of the United States, or we're in a very scary spot. But look, Kamala Harris, I think, has proven woefully underqualified for the job. And I'm sure that Democrats will say, oh, you're saying that because she's a woman. No, Joe Biden gave her the job because she's a woman. That was what he said. That's not my words. That's Joe Biden's words. And she has dismal approval ratings. And so I'll say, and look, I wish the president nothing but health and wellness and longevity, but to not have a conversation about his mental acuity. And it's not his age. I want to make that clear. It's not his age. It's his mental acuity. Because we just heard from Senator Bernie Sanders, who is above and beyond Joe Biden when it comes to his ability to perform, his mental capacity. I wish, like I said, the president nothing but health and wellness, but I really believe that Joe Biden will not be the person on the ticket for Democrats in 2024. I think the Democratic Party knows that, and I think this is their strategy to try to gain sympathy for Kamala Harris from the American electorate. I think at some stage between now and the election, Joe Biden is not going to be able to move forth, and Democrats are hoping that maybe that whole process will lead Americans to be sympathetic for that ticket and for Kamala Harris and somehow ingratiate her to the party.
Brandi, you heard Senator Coons talking about being proud of the record of Vice President Harris. I am sitting on the border ahead of the most unprecedented surge of migrants after 2 years of the most unprecedented numbers coming. Heck, we've got half of Venezuela about to cross, and she was the border czar. Is there anything you can point to, border czar, in international trips that you could say, in fairness, is an actual win for her in her term?
Look, I'm not even a Republican, so I want you to know what I'm about to say is coming through that lens. I am actually going to enjoy very much watching this all play out, because Democrats are the party that has pushed identitarianism at any cost. Joe Biden did it when he said, hey, I'm going to have a woman be vice president. I'm going to have a black woman and appoint her to the Supreme Court. And when you are that obsessed with identity, Democrats have painted themselves into a corner. They cannot be the party that says, let's go around who would be the presumptive replacement for Joe Biden, a black woman who we put into that position because of her gender and the color of her skin. And so now they're kind of stuck with her. Those are their rules. And no, there's no major accomplishments. I mean, the best description I've ever heard of Kamala Harris is that it's like when you have 100 words, but you have to write a 10,000-word essay. So you just stretch the 100 words that you have into a 10,000-word essay. I mean, every time I hear her speak on any issue, domestic, foreign policy, it is really painful to watch.
Yeah, you took the words from my mouth, painful, and half the time I have no idea what she even had just said. But we have to switch gears to this. Governor Ron DeSantis, he hasn't even announced his campaign and his bid for president, yet he's already raised $110 million. That's more than former President Trump, who is second behind with $55 million. So what does this signal to you as far as where the GOP stands?
Well, I think that it signals that the GOP, and including those with deep pockets, are ready to move on from Donald Trump. And look, some of that might be that they just realize he's not the right candidate, or that you know, he's not capable of winning, or with everything going on legally speaking, the timing could turn out to be very bad for Republicans if he's the party nominee. But look, Ron DeSantis is a very capable candidate. He will obviously enter the race. I think that's very clear by now. I do think that there's a conversation, perhaps it's one you guys want to have as well, about this idea of him being the governor of Florida while he embarks on a presidential campaign. I know that Florida lawmakers have recently passed a law that would allow him to do that, to run for president while he is still the governor of Florida. And I think it really comes down to whether he can do both jobs at once. You know, he just asked the people of Florida for 4 more years. And I will tell you, you might not remember, but my governor here in Washington State, Jay Inslee, ran for president in 2020. Don't feel bad if you don't remember, because he pulled at basically 0%. But I remember at the time covering his campaign, and he spent more than 50% of the time out of state on a floundering presidential campaign. And I had a real problem with that. And so I want to be morally consistent and say, I hope Ron DeSantis can do both jobs at once. And if he is unable to, then I don't think that he should be the governor while he runs for president.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Brandi, because the Floridians like him now, but if he's an absent governor, that could indeed certainly change. Great insight, Brandi Kruse, as always. Thank you for getting up early for us on this Monday morning.
My pleasure.